So this is my sim rig. You may remember it from the series of videos I did creating it. And it's getting a little bit of an upgrade. Not today, but we're going to preview the upgrade today because Cammus sent me one of their wheels. Direct drive, ooh. So currently this setup uses a Logitech G29 and I have the shifter, I have the pedals, we got a big screen and everything kind of works together. It's all good. But Cammus, they saw that video and they decided to send me a bit of an upgrade, like I said. So first of all, I want to try to explain what direct drive is. By the way, this video is not sponsored, so my opinions and stuff are my own. There's no extra contract stuff here. So this wheel inside of this base, I believe that these Logitech wheels are belt driven. So when I turn the wheel, I'm actually turning a belt inside of here, and obviously we reach the limit of, I believe it's a 900-degree spin that you can do. So there we go. And oftentimes when I'm driving with this thing, I will actually hit that limit. But direct drive, basically, is running a motor straight into the wheel. So when you turn it, you're actually just turning a motor directly, i.e. direct drive. So I think I paid like 250 bucks for this wheel, and then I also had to pay another 75 for the shifter, but the wheel came with the pedals, and it's a good wheel. Like, this is a good starting thing, but let's move on to the new one. So this is a Cammus C5, which is a more basic direct drive wheel. And I say basic, it's really not that basic. It has some fancy stuff. Like up here, this is a shift light thing, although I haven't got that working yet. I think that, I mean, I'm not sure if beamng is capable of it, but you basically have to set this stuff up yourself for most of these games. You can kind of see what I'm talking about though, because this is a fairly large and also very heavy piece, because in here is an electric motor. The base itself is just a small thing. So basically what you can do is turn this thing endlessly, because all you're doing is turning an electric motor. And that's quite cool by itself. Like, that immediately is an upgrade. I believe this wheel and pedal setup retails for $330. I'm not sure if that's US or Canadian. I could double check that at the editing. But compared to the price of the Logitech, I do think that this is a higher quality piece. Whether or not it lasts is another thing, but it is a high quality feeling component. And like, putting it together, everything went together decently. It feels good in the hands, and it has a lot of weight to it, which is nice. That's a lot more realistic. Now, it does have pedals, which you can see down on the floor. The pedals are labeled right now green and orange. That's just because they had stickers on them I haven't taken off. Gas pedal on the right, obviously brake pedal in the middle, no clutch. This setup is mostly made for like a sequential or a dual clutch transmission. It does not have a clutch. I mean, you could just map one to one of the various buttons on the thing, but no clutch. This is not really supposed to be a full review of this. We're gonna play with it in beamng, but there are a ton of buttons on this, and as you can see, they're all blank. You can map them how you want them, and then it has like A, D for some reason, A, B, C, D, and then buttons up here too. It's not like a proprietary controller like PlayStation or Xbox, which you can get with a Logitech. It's its own thing. Obviously, we got dials down here that you can change. It actually came with some little stickers that you can put over top of the dials. That's upside down, but over top of the dials like this, so you have your own like little setup. You could probably make custom stickers too. That would be cool. But just as a quick hot take, I've only played with this wheel for like half an hour last night, just setting it up, and I'm playing on the desk, so I'm not even on my full sim rig yet, although I do want to get it onto the rig. Everything feels good. Like, it feels fine. It definitely is a lot smoother and a lot quieter than the belt-driven wheel. That's one of the things I don't like about that Logitech wheel, is that it's extremely loud and it vibrates the desk. Whereas this, with the force feedback, you really feel it, and it has a lot of strength to it, surprisingly. But it's smooth, and that's the nice thing. Okay, so starting up the Cammus, we're playing beamng.drive. You'll see that in the background, but there's a button on the back of it. You hold her down, and she springs to life and beeps a bunch of times, but it's coming to life. And it says in beamng that we've connected a wheel, which is super cool. I'm pretty sure I got this thing already started. And yeah, I already have it set up in beamng as well. So let's go for a drive. I would say that these kind of wheels are most effective when you're actually like using them with a cockpit view, but obviously your mileage may vary and whatever you prefer. But hammering it and going for it. I have turned up the force feedback a little bit, so the wheel is, this van is ridiculously quick, we need to get into more gears, but the wheel is a little bit harder to move than you might think. You could also change a lot of things. There is a huge settings pool for this sucker. So the beauty of a direct drive wheel, from my perspective, is that it really has a full-on direct connection to the wheel in the game. So you can see the wheel in the game is spinning, and the wheel here is spinning too until I catch it. That also means that this sucker could break your wrist if you have it turned up too high. You gotta be careful. But I think you can already tell, like, the force feedback is there, but there's no, like, belt lashing noise as it comes in. It's fighting me, but you can't hear it, so immediately that's better for my videos at least. Where I really wanted to test this out was here. This is an off-road sort of section with mixed terrain, to say the least, but this thing will bounce around your wheels like crazy, and this is where you really can feel that force feedback. This van is too low to take these kind of dips and bumps. Oh my goodness. But yeah, doing it like this, you can really feel how strong the thing is. It's a lot of fun. So I've been singing this thing's praises a little bit, but I want to talk about some disadvantages. When I plugged it in, beamng recognized it. beamng is listed as one of the compatible games for this wheel, but it doesn't come with a beamng preset, so you have to make your own preset, which means you have to set up all your controls, and that can be a little bit of a pain. I'm not sure if that's going to be the same way in a lot of different games, like Assetto Corsa is on the list as an example. Maybe it has a preset already set up for you, or you can get one off of the Steam Workshop. But for beamng, I had to set everything up. With the Logitech wheel, if you're looking for plug and play, literally just plug that wheel in and it works, and that's it. So what you get is a level of complexity, but what you need to do is rise to the challenge, because now you need to understand that complexity, and you also need to know how to set up a wheel. It took me a couple minutes to figure out how to do it well, and even then I know that there's more that this wheel is capable of. There's definitely more settings and things I can do. I could probably put shift lights here. I could probably get this display showing the gear I'm in or something like that. Maybe my RPM, although it only has 3 digits. So there are, I think, 100 buttons on this in total, if you count the many directions of the dials. So you could potentially map 100 buttons, but then you're also going to have to be sitting there mapping 100 buttons. So complexity does have downsides, but it does have some significant upsides too, and that is if you're trying to get a preset going for a game, you have a lot of options. So one of the things that is also a downside of this, and that this is partially because I've just set the game up like this, is manual cars don't work out of the gate with this wheel. You need to set it up so that you have at least like an auto clutch going or something, but you got to pick a sequential basically if you want to use these little paddle shifters. DCT, like automatic transmissions and stuff are all good, obviously, and I'm sure I could just set up a button to be the clutch, and then there you go, there's my clutch. But it's definitely not the same as having a clutch pedal, so I would say probably the biggest downside of this setup is no clutch pedal, but that's fixable. Essentially, my idea for this is what I want to do. I really like the feel of these pedals, and I actually really like them versus the Logitech ones as well. The Logitech pedals are not very nice. Oh, jeez. But unless I make my own custom... Oh my goodness, it's fighting me. I gotta hold on tight. Oh yeah, no, everything's screwed now. But unless I make my own clutch pedal, or possibly buy a set of Cammus pedals that have a clutch, then I'm better off using the Logitech stuff because it already has a clutch pedal. What I'm thinking is the ultimate setup based on the components that I have without having to go buy more is this wheel, because this wheel is way nicer than the Logitech one, plus the Logitech shifter, which is decent, and the Logitech pedals, which is unfortunate. But that setup will allow me to have manual shifting with a shifter, but with a much nicer wheel and a much nicer feeling wheel. So it's going to be good when I get it all set up. I'm just not ready to do that just yet. Something that's kind of funny with this wheel is it actually has a cooling fan in the base that blows into the wheel to help cool it off. It doesn't really put out a lot of air, but it is just a funny little detail. I like it. So yeah, ultimately, any showcase stuff going forward, I'm going to be using this wheel. If I can get, I'll have to remap some of the buttons because I need a reset button, and I also need, well, I'll probably have to get a, the thing about Logitech, man, one of the problems with Logitech is like this thing uses USB-C for its connection, so you connect your pedals USB-C and you're good, right? But with the Logitech, it's using like an old serial port, so I have to get a converter from Logitech to convert that to USB to then plug into this. You just, proprietary stuff sucks. But at least it's an option, right? At least I can do it. So the wide world of sim rig stuff, the wide world of more advanced pieces than what I currently have is vast. And you can spend thousands of dollars on a wheel. You could spend thousands of dollars on a sim rig. I've seen on Kijiji, I remember after the pandemic, when sim racing got super big, kind of out of the blue, people were dropping thousands on sim rig components and wheels and pedals and full like chair setups and with like vibration and all that stuff, getting fancy basically. But then I would see these rigs come up on Kijiji, which is like Craigslist, and it would say used it twice, for sale now for like half what I paid for it. But what I would suggest as somebody who doesn't really use their setup that often, I should use it more, just been too busy recently, but don't go all out at the beginning. Go cheap and then basically feel it out. As with all hobbies, don't just dive into the most expensive piece you can get. It's like, oh, I'm going to learn how to play violin. I'm going to go and buy a $10,000 violin. It's like, that's a terrible idea. Learn on a cheap one, and when you get good, go and buy an expensive one, because then you can appreciate it. It's the same way with sim racing. Buy a cheap one, learn on it, and then once you're set and you know your habits and you've got an iRacing subscription, go out and get the expensive stuff. Do it incrementally. Don't blow all your money on some ridiculous, stupid setup and then regret it later and lose a ton of cash on something you don't even use. That's just life advice in general. Same thing with cars. But yeah, that's just kind of how I feel about it. I like looking at this kind of stuff, so when they reached out to me and said, hey, you want to check it out, I was like, absolutely, yeah, totally. But let me know what you guys think about this. What do you think about Cammus? Are they a decent company? I'm going to have a lot more videos with this thing coming up because I really enjoy it, and I'm excited to see what else we can do with it. This is not the only game it works on. We can play Assetto Corsa, it works on Wreckfest, it works on Mudrunner apparently. I'm excited to see how that goes. I want to try and play SnowRunner with it. But it's also going to be featured in the showcase stuff. So yeah, I'm pretty hyped. It's everything's getting more advanced, and now I don't even know what to do with my old Logitech wheel. I'm going to have to pass it down to the next generation. Or maybe cheap to somebody on Kijiji who's just trying to get into sim racing and they want something basic. Oh my goodness, this wheel. Yeah, if you turn the force feedback up too high on these, it will absolutely rip your hands out, so keep yourself in check here. Don't make that mistake. Anyway guys, thank you for watching this. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. My voice is a little hoarse today, so I didn't want to make a super long video, but yeah, just trying to have some fun, messing around in BeamNG and crashing cars into stuff. And yeah, more stuff to come. See you again soon.